Okay, here's the plate with a coat of paint. This was a piece of scrap, so why it's got that extra hole on the side. Here are the dimensions. I'll get a picture of that. And bolts up like that. Getting ready to mount it. So here's the bracket mounted up. And at this point I'm going to try to route the hoses up the loader. Got a little tight there on my screws. I wanted to use a hex head. These are the screws that came with it. It's going to work just fine, but in hindsight I would go that way a little bit to the left. But it looks good like it is. So got the bracket and the solenoid valve mounted, and I'm doing a dry run on the hoses routing. Another reason for wanting to be on this side was I wanted to be able to use this hole right here and follow the tube just like the loader controls are. See, this hole's pretty full. And that's the loader control hoses. So I'm trying to mimic that. I'm in the tube, I'm out of the tube. Now I'm having to figure out how to deal with this loop right here at the bottom. So these are 3/8 hoses. I'm thinking it's going to be a lot easier if I just buy 2 new hoses and go down 1/4 inch just like these are. See the difference in the size of these and the size of that one. I can make this one work like it is, but I end up with way too much slop hanging up in this area and trying to figure out the length of that now. So got 2 hoses made here. They're 77 inches end to end to the fittings, not counting the ag couplers. And both of them number 6 JIC swivel on both ends. This is a 2/4 inch hoses with number 6 swivels on the end, JIC. So my goal is I'm going to route it through this loader arm and come out that hole down here. The hole down there, the one where the hose is already coming out, and I'm going to be coming up under here with the hoses just like it is for the loader controls. Well, I got the 2 sleeve hoses routed and connected. I'm missing a fitting. Got a fitting ordered. I can't hook up that bottom one there with the yellow on it. But I do have the ag end connected, and trying to mimic the other side. Just run through the tube. This is the loader controls over here, so plenty of room because there's no hoses in there except for those 2 for that boom lift. And I need to test the slack, so let's test it right quick. No glow plugs. Well, what have I got wrong here? Neutral. First test run looks good. Heck, it looks better than the loader valves. As far as that slack. Of course, I have had trouble over here with it rubbing the hood, but I got to get me a bracket here, similar to what the factory installed. But so far, pretty darn happy with those two 77-inch hoses. Let it on down here, see how it folds up. That's how I'm missing a fitting down there. Man, that looks great. I'm sure running it there'll be some trial and error, try to figure out what's going on right here, but pretty pleased with that. Finally got all my fittings in and got these connected up front. There's gonna be plenty of room here for up and down. No problem there. What I gotta worry about here is when you're dumping and curling back, this hose right here will move around my brackets. I'm gonna verify what I need there. It don't move a whole lot, considering how many times you're going to be dumping and curling back. You need to be sure they're protected. It don't move a whole lot, but I'm going to took this off. I'm gonna put some spiral wrap right here to protect these two hoses. I wish all of these had spiral wrap on them, but they don't. All right, let's look at this hose assembly one more time. I've got it phased, red being pressure port and power beyond, blue yellow being the backhoe hose. So on the solenoid end right here, this is going to go to the P port, it's going to go to the T port, which is down there. P and T, red's going to be on top, and on this end, Y, blue and yellow, because the other end of this hose is blue and yellow, which is this hose. So this hose is going to connect to my male connector, blue and yellow, and my red is going to screw onto here. So the hard end to connect is going to be obviously at the loader valve, and hook these up last. So what have I done? I've pulled a lot of slack out of that blue and yellow backhoe hose, and this is it, the blue and yellow backhoe hose. And I've got my hose assembly pulled up through here, and I've hooked blue and yellow, and I went ahead and phased the factory hose blue and yellow. This was my goal. Why I made these hoses shorter, this one's going to end up laying under here, this connection. And now I'm going to route this one to the loader valve. And hydraulic connection wise, that'll be it. But what do we got to worry about under here? We got two linkages to worry about. This one is the 3-point up and down, lower, raise lower, and this is the 4-wheel drive. But that hose is going to come right here and be out of the way, just like the original routing. And the backhoe hose will end up in this area somewhere. You have to be careful, don't mess with the switches anyway. This is a 2.5-inch hose clamp. Got a piece of the smallest sleeve in that I have. Would be nice to have something smaller, but that's what I'm using right here to clamp this hose tight on this front end loader bracket without drilling any holes. Got my 3 hose clamps on, and that's tight. Installation's looking good so far. So what I'm trying to deal with now is what slack I've got up here under this tire. Now I would love nothing more than to drill a hole in that plastic and put a clamp right here, but if it was metal I would. Not going to drill a hole in that plastic, but there's no suspension here, so it's not going to get any closer to the tire. But my hose lengths were spot on. Here's my slack, so I'm going to deal with that slack up top. Don't have any issues with levers or anything right here, and I would love to get a mechanical fastener up here somewhere. Here's my slack. And I'm just going to put this heavy duty tire wrap and pull it up tight while pulling on it to get it off the wheel and the levers down there, so it should be fine. Okay, everything is connected. Just going to show you the final hose routing. And get rid of that slack under here. Pull it tight with that tire wrap talked about. That's tight right here. Nothing in the way. And here's my tire wrap that's holding the 2 hoses right there. So they're basically routed on the edge of this tank. I say I'd love to get a mechanical fastener up here, but I'm not drilling that plastic, so I'm good with the tire wrap. And we come over here, so remember the blue and yellow. Where did it end up? What was its final location? You can see it. So you can see that blue and yellow where it ended up. Backhoe line. It's out of the way. Not in round end linkages. And here's the red going to the pressure port. There's power beyond on the valve to the right. Quite frankly, that was the hardest one to hook up out of everything. It was just tight. Trying to get through this area without being around any linkages. And you see that HST fan down there. But ideally it is under the hex-shaped lever is the deck speed, not the deck, but the yeah, I guess it would be the lower for the 3-point in the deck, how fast it'll go down. And these other tubes, it was laying on that gray tube on the bottom kind of tight, so I bent that tube down just a little bit, so happy with that. And that's the final hose routing. So here is the factory bracket for the loader. The one that holds up the hoses on the loader valve side. So if you get this through your dealer, you can get it for this price. If you order it from AGCO, they're going to charge you $22 shipping. So just a little tip there, if you've got time to order through AGCO ahead of time and just get it from your dealer. Now looking at the way the factory one is installed, I noticed right off the bat they got this bend right here in it. So obviously that was their technique to handle these hoses, and these hoses aren't great. I've actually had a mash right here before, not paying any attention. I just put this loader back on. I mean, they're okay. So on my side, there's only 2 hoses to deal with right here, as I still got the hoses tie wrapped. So I'm going to figure out how to get this on here and whether I need to bend or not. Probably won't need it with just 2 hoses, so we'll see. This bolt right here has got a metal roller under it to serve as a roller guide for the hoses. That's the factory side. I don't think it really serves a purpose. So a 3.5 by 5/16 bolt here. I had a piece of old brake line hard plastic hose I'm putting here that'll actually spin a little bit. I don't think it's really needed, but that's what I'm putting there. So this is where I landed with that AGCO hose guide is called. Note the other side, talked about the bend in it. I tried the bend, didn't like it at all. This one is actually holding 4 hoses and it's somewhat tight. Of course you got some pins here helping it to be tight. So I end up straightening the bracket back out after I bend it. I drilled another hole in it and actually have tapped up on it right here with a hammer a time or 2, and that's what I got right there. So this is the final piece, other than actually getting the grapple I don't have yet and hooking it up and figuring out how these hoses are going to do here. So let's check out the flex in these hoses right here. And just like the other side, see this one's rubbing the hood, eventually rub the paint off. You gotta twist these couplers to kind of help. I kind of knew when I was planning this, it just about needs another clamp right here, but I'm not drilling a hole in the boom. So we're pretty much better than the factory side. So pretty happy with that. Have to run it some and see how she goes.